Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at a very basic integration between NextJS web components automatically integrated with Strapi CMS assisted by Google's Gemini CLI. If you'd like to see a full version of this showcase where all the data is automatically fetched using AI only, let me know in the comments. So what problem are we solving? No matter what the website, in 95% of the use cases, it will need to serve dynamic content. This can be for a marketing site, e-commerce, etc. In either case, your design will need to be integrated into your monolithic CMS or headless CMS. And this is where Strapi and Gemini CLI are a match made in heaven when it comes to AI context engineering. Right, so before we get into the core of the demo, let's just very quickly get a holistic picture of what we're looking to achieve. So recently the team at TEDx took on the challenge to create an MVP website within days, hours, and even minutes versus a few weeks. And that included the design process and the development aspect. Along with the challenge came with identifying bottlenecks for each step of the life cycle. And we found that marrying up the front end to the back end was one of the biggest bottlenecks in the entire process. And we automated that with Google Gemini. So basically, if we look at the header, the features section, the buttons, the cards, call to action, each of these are components. Each of these components then belong to a content or a page within the CMS. So you got your header, your features, call to action, etc. And under that, you've got all the other pages. So pretty straightforward. Bringing this data to the front end would normally require a front end developer to manually integrate each of those, create all the custom types, interfaces to make sure that it displays onto each of the components to then be reused within other pages. So Google Gemini does a perfect job in doing this automatically. So what we've done is we've taken the static components. So for example, this is the static component that we downloaded from the web, and we'll demonstrate that in the demo. And then we've run through Gemini and we've told it to generate the components dynamically to automatically populate or create the interfaces and map itself to the data within the component. Pretty simple, right? So now that you understand what the holistic approach is, let's go and see how this works. Good. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get to the demo. Okay, so now what you see in front of you is a very simple template project block that I've just created by downloading the blocks from the web. The library that we're using is from chatcmblocks.com, and we've gone into blocks and pretty much chosen what we're after. So for example, let's just say the CTA component. This is one of the components that we're using. So for example, CTA 10. We click on this and then we can install it shortly. But basically that's all we've done. And we're going to let Gemini CLI do the hard work to plug it in dynamically with Strapi. So let's look at what Strapi looks like. So first of all, let me just go back to the website. So this is the content. And just to show you that I'm not bluffing you, let's go and update the content. So for example, the hero image. So happy Friday, can't wait, for example. Publish. Let's go to the front end. Happy Friday, can't wait. Now we got the call to action, feature 1, and 2 listed features underneath that. So let's go to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the CTA underneath features. And I'm going to add another feature. Let's go, we've got 1, 2. I'm going to say feature 3. This looks pretty. Let's reload the page. And there you have it. So a new feature is now displaying, get in touch, and so forth. So this is running as is because I've already executed Google Gemini. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete the components. I'm going to install, for example, the call to action component from scratch, and we'll see how that works. So let's go check it out. On my project here, we've got the dynamic folder. Now this is what Google Gemini takes care of. So let's just delete this folder. And what we're left with is the static components that we've used previously. Okay, so that's using the, that's going to be weird. Yeah, that is the one. So let's just delete that. Delete the component. And I'm going to install that from scratch. And it's to stop the front end, paste the component from ShatCM blocks. Now in this case, I've downloaded the same component, CTA10, because I'm actually referencing that in the component itself under Strapi. So for example, if we go to CTA, you'll see that this uses CTA10. And this is part of the magic on how we marry out the components dynamically by pulling the data. Right, so that's now been installed. CTA10, it's in there. And we also going to install the other components. Okay, so now we have the CTA component installed. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at our Gemini command prompt. Now, please bear in mind that this is a really basic raw example for the purpose of this demo. If you'd like to see a fully fledged dynamic demo of this, let me know in the comments and I'll put something together. But it can take a few minutes to run, so I'm not sure whether people have the patience for that. Right, so let's just go. We're under our project on our terminal, and I'm going to call in Gemini. Right, so that's Gemini. So as you can see, the dynamic folders is currently missing. So here is our command prompt. And what I mean by making it dynamic and so forth, at the moment, I've statically pasted the contents of that API response for the homepage. So I'm going to paste that. I'm going to run and execute Gemini CLI on our project. And this is going to automatically go through that payload. And I'll demonstrate what that means shortly. Goes through the payload, goes through each of the components, pulls the content from Strapi, maps the data to the front end automatically to then give us the dynamic web page. So let's just say yes. Wants to generate the folder. So now this is running through. Let's see how long it takes. It varies on how long it can take. So this is why I'm a bit hesitant to show the full demo. But it's, less than 15 minutes. All right, let's go to yes. Okay, so that looks to have completed successfully. So if we look at our dynamic folder, we can see that manager file has automatically been generated. And what this does, it basically match the payload of all the dynamic components, grab the name, created the folder, and then maps them out automatically to pull them in dynamically onto the page. It then creates each of the components under the corresponding folder, which belong to the Strapi CMS side of things. So for example, if we look at the content type builder, and if we look at CTA, right now the component name is CTA, right? If we look at features, it's features. And under each of those folders is where the component goes. The component name is one of the bit of magic that we've used to identify the front-end component from the database so that the process can automatically map it on the front end. And then that helps create the manager file that we're looking at. So now let's go and see how that works. Now, if we go back to the front end and let's reload the previously broken page, and let's see what it does. There you go. We've got a dynamic website where a front end developer didn't have to do any work to plug in the APIs or data on the components that we've downloaded from the website. And that is the pre-made components under ShatCM blocks. And this is just an example. So, I mean, you can use any pre-built component. As long as you map your data accordingly and create your components accordingly, then Bob's your uncle. Again, this is a super basic demonstration of what is doable with Google Gemini, Strapi in a front-end environment. Hope that helps. Again, if you have any comments or if you'd like to see a fully fledged demonstration from pulling in the content dynamically and so forth, I'll do my best to put something together in more detail. But basically, this is just a quick demo to show you what it's capable of. And there you have it. Just when you thought it couldn't get any easier delivering solutions with Strapi, in comes AI. The beauty about this solution is that we've used AI in the right place, with the right tool, nothing more, nothing less. So if you have any questions in regards to this demo, or simply looking for a team that is able to deliver value, get in touch. Until next time, bye.